Star Wars prequels deserve a little bit more respect. This one is interesting. There needs to be more adult animated films. Yo, I asked my Instagram followers for their unpopular movie opinions, and I low-key agree with some of them. In true YouTube fashion, I'm going to rank these via tier list. We have EGOT, I 100% agree, I love this, we are twins. Oscar winner, I don't 100% agree, but I support it. Nominated but snubbed, you have some really good arguments there. There needs to be a little bit more nuance, but I do support it. And because I actually agree with a lot of these opinions, we're actually just going to stop at Oscar shortlist. I neither agree or disagree. So grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a beverage, and without further ado, let's hop into these unpopular movie opinions. Movie trailers don't hinder the movie experience, they enhance it. This is very interesting because I just need to know a little bit of the context of this. I actually used to hate watching trailers in the movie theater, and I don't know why I actually hated them. Well, I know when I was like a little kid, sometimes there'd be like intense trailers and like the sound and everything. I was like, I freaked out. I don't want to see any trailers. But as I got older, I really started liking trailers, and then just like the art of trailer making, I found that very interesting. Trailer editing, rather. But it also depends on where you're going to see the movie. Like if it's an AMC, they have like 20 minutes worth of trailers. For that, I'm just like, okay, I don't need a lot of trailers. And sometimes half of them are just commercials. But if you go to a smaller theater or like a smaller theater chain, there's really not that many trailers, and it actually does enhance the movie experience. I would say the only downside about trailers is if you see a lot of movies like I do, which is like almost every other weekend. Yes, some of the trailers get repetitive, especially when you watch things around the same genre. Sometimes the trailers do get annoying, but if you don't really go out to the movies that much, they're really not. At least in my opinion. When I said it was kind of like a case-by-case basis, are you talking about the movie experience as in like watching the actual movie? Because I think trailers could mislead what the movie is about, but not in a clever way. I mean, in recent years, there's been films that are really good, but they just kind of don't get marketed as well. Or a movie with a really good trailer, but the film is low-key trash. I would never get over the 2016 Suicide Squad. I was so hyped about the movie because of the trailer. That trailer was iconic, but the movie was so lackluster, I was actually angry after watching it. So I think it all depends. With all that being said, I give this one Oscar winner. That is a pretty solid opinion, and I think people should watch more trailers. Overall theater going experience, yeah, trailers are a part of the fun. Pirates of the Caribbean should be remembered like Lord of the Rings has been. The Pirates movies were definitely a culture reset. I'm a young millennial, so the first Pirates movies came out when I think I was in elementary school, I want to say. It was a big deal. The first few movies in the franchise are really good. I wasn't a big fan of On Stranger Tides. I think that's where the franchise kind of lost me a bit, especially because it doesn't have Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley. Their presence was definitely missed. I barely remember that movie, actually. Now, I think Lord of the Rings is getting more praise because of its critical acclaim and recognition because of its Oscar wins. But with all that being said, I still do agree with you that Pirates should be remembered, or at least as far as nostalgia-wise, it should be remembered more. When I think of nostalgic films, I kind of more so jump to Pirates of the Caribbean instead of Lord of the Rings. But I'm saying this as someone who actually hasn't watched all the Lord of the Rings movies, and I still need to. I briefly met Elijah Wood at a Comic-Con while dressed as an elf, so I feel like I owe it to actually watch the entire franchise. I don't know. Let me know if you want a video of that. I might do that in the near future. Follow me on Letterboxd and all my other social medias, just in case I decide to do a review on that. This is going into the A tier, which is Oscar winner. Star Wars prequels deserve a little bit more respect. This one is interesting. Well, this is kind of going off of the Pirates of the Caribbean opinion, the Star Wars prequels literally introduced a new generation to the Star Wars franchise. And that generation was my generation. My dad introduced me to Star Wars through this movie. Other people my age had a similar story. Even though The Phantom Menace is not the best movie, it does help set the scene for the other films. I remember when they did a re-release of The Phantom Menace. I remember my friends and I, we were super excited. I think I was in high school when the re-release came out. We totally had our nostalgia goggles because I'm just like, this movie is not as great as I remember it to be. I mean, there's Jar Jar, who is one of the most annoying characters in cinema history. But other than that, the film is overall pretty boring. The most action-packed scenes are like the race scene, as well as some of the Jedi fights. They need to do more with Darth Maul because he could have been a really cool villain. But The Phantom Menace aside, the movies do get better. Especially the third one, Revenge of the Sith. I think the prequels are only bad, quote unquote, because of the direction, ironically enough. But the overall story is actually pretty fascinating. And I think they did a really great job, especially with the last film, connecting the prequels to the original trilogy. And from my recollection, there wasn't too many loose ends. And then the prequels have kind of become a cult classic in the sense of there's like inside jokes, like the one about Anakin hating sand and the killing of the younglings. I do agree that at least the last one needs more respect. Attack of the Clones is okay. Phantom Menace is boring. So I neither agree or disagree. I see what you're saying, but I'm going to still give this my C rating, which is Oscar shortlist. There needs to be more adult animated films. Yo, I love this unpopular opinion, and it should not be unpopular. I agree. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna use this section to promote some of my favorite adult animated films. American Pop is really good, beautifully animated. Chico and Rita, this is so underrated. It's a Spanish film, absolutely love it. It's a romance, really good. Intergalactic, if you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing with your life? Love the animation. If you love Kid Cudi, you're definitely gonna love this because he's the lead in this. And it has his music. If you want a really good animated short film, Logorama, I believe it's a French film, but you can find it on YouTube. It's very creative. It's Oscar winning. I Lost My Body. That's a really solid one. That one you can find on Netflix, and it's another French animated film. But yeah, I really think in the US, there does need to be more adult animated film. There's a stigma around animation, which is very unfortunate. Or not really like a stigma, but more so of people thinking animation is just for kids. And that's such a pet peeve of mine. I actually really do want to watch more adult animated films because I do like the art of animation. And I know there's more adult animated films other than anime. I do want to explore more anime films too. But yeah, clearly this is S tier. No notes. S tier, EGOT. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There needs to be more adult animated films. If you like the vibe so far, consider subscribing. Most live action remakes are okay. I think most of the live action films are very mid. Well, live action remakes are extremely unnecessary. I just think that the live action remakes overall is just a disrespect to the original animators and the art of animation and really the ethos of Disney as a company. Clearly the remakes are just cash grabs. I disagree that Disney is trying to push an agenda, as people say. I don't think Disney is trying to push a woke agenda from these things. The only agenda that they're pushing is money. That's really what it is. They're a business, they're a corporation. That's just what it is. It's about money. But the live action remakes, as far as with Disney is concerned, I just think the pitfalls of them is mostly the animation, with the exception of the Jungle Book. I think the Jungle Book had really beautiful animation, or I guess CGI. The Little Mermaid, I didn't mind. I didn't really care for the CGI in that film and some of the character redesigns. However, Halle Bailey, she did a really great job. I actually liked the stuff that happened on land more than I did the underwater stuff. And I think the on land stuff needs to be talked about more because I think it was cute. It felt like a rom-com. It's not a perfect film, but I thought it was adorable. Of course, like Alice in Wonderland, the one that kind of kicked off everything, the Tim Burton film, that one was fun. I think they should have stuck with more of the creative ones or kind of like spin-offs of different movies. Yes, it was Alice in Wonderland, but it was a different story. I did like Cruella, if you want to count that. It was a whole different story, and that's what I admired about it. I haven't watched Maleficent, but I heard a lot of great things about Maleficent. But right now, they're just basically copy and pasting or trying to correct things, quote unquote, that didn't really need to be corrected. Despite of my remake fatigue, I'm going to give this Oscar nominated. The only reason why it's not EGOT tier or Oscar winning tier is because I think the animation does need to be a lot better for the films to be okay. And some of the creative choices, yeah, I think the movies are very mid. A Minecraft movie is actually a fun and funny film that I'd gladly watch more than once. Okay, as someone who doesn't know anything about Minecraft, I never played the games or any of the lore or anything, and I almost didn't watch Minecraft. I actually really enjoyed myself. I thought it was a stupid movie. By far, it was a very stupid movie. It was very childish, very immature. But how everything was put together, it made it so much fun. I had a great time. I think this is a really good movie to watch with friends. I actually wouldn't mind watching it on a $5 movie night. It is a theater movie. Like, I can't picture myself watching it at home. I really can't. But I will see it again in theaters. I believe that I will. It was a very fun movie. And I'm gonna put this opinion in the EGOT tier. Thor Love and Thunder. Thor Loved and Fun. Can't say the name of this dang movie. Thor Love and Thunder isn't bad. It's just very silly, but very entertaining. Thor Love and Thunder has its very silly moments, and the majority of the film is very entertaining. And I remember actually really liking this movie when I saw it in theaters. But I also remember it being like very sad and really dramatic and existential and like dark. I feel not a lot of people talk about that aspect of the film. Just because of that, I haven't gone to rewatch it. So I'm gonna have to slightly disagree with you saying it's a fun movie. Even though I think in my initial review that I did like a few years ago on my TikTok and my Instagram, I think I did call it fun. The dramatic scenes made me not want to revisit this film. But I do agree with you. It's not a bad movie. I think it's far from bad. But I don't really think of it as like rewatchable, you know what I mean? But regardless, I'm going to put this in Oscar winner. Movies based on Twilight or Harry Styles fanfiction are some of the worst to have existed. That's fun. Okay, as far as 50 Shades of Grey, yes, the 50 Shades of Grey franchise is terrible on many levels. If you don't already know, 50 Shades of Grey is based on Twilight fanfiction. Yes, which is very interesting, but if you hadn't known that before and you are a fan of Twilight, it all makes sense. Anastasia Steele is Bella Swan. Christian Grey is Edward. I think the guy's name is Jose, but he's supposed to be like the Jacob character. Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah, those movies are not great. I've actually not have watched them in its entirety, so I don't even know if I should even be saying my opinions. Is very telling that I couldn't even finish them. As far as the Harry Styles fan fiction, I think the only I gotta see which ones because there might be multiple Harry Styles fan fiction movies. There's one called The Idea of You. I actually really love that movie. It's a really cute rom-com with my girl Anne Hathaway. She's amazing in this. While I'm recording this, I totally forgot about the After movies. So those are actually also inspired by Harry Styles. I heard those were bad. I've only watched them through YouTube videos. And yeah, they look kind of terrible. So I do actually agree with you to a certain extent The only thing that I disagree with is the movie The Idea of You. Yeah, I enjoy that unironically. I thought it was a cute movie. So I'm going to give this B tier, which is Oscar nominated but snubbed. Follow me on Instagram. That's where all these unpopular opinions came from. You get first dibs and first notice of when I'm going to do one of these unpopular opinions videos. Again, if you like the vibes of the channel, subscribe. I try to post every 2 weeks or so, and check out part 1 if you haven't seen it already.